Hi, everyone. I am Lorianne. I am that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I am with.
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas, and we would like to welcome you to our Lift Your Story podcast.
So, on this episode, we're very pleased to have Erin. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to say your last name because I was so good at it. Okay,
Konow.
it is spelled early.
Konow.
It's Kono, right?
Yeah.
Kono. And Erin was with us about, I would imagine, probably 5, 6 months ago. And so we're getting an update. So thank you so much for coming back and visiting with us.
Not a problem.
So, Aaron, since we last spoke, you told us about cash flow and how important it was, you know, and so since then, kind of what's been going on with you and your cash flow philosophy?
Well, what I've been doing here is I've been looking around for different ways to get traction when it comes with the businesses that I'm with, because I know a lot of people don't really know much about when it comes with getting traction. And if you don't get traction for your business, you're really not going to get anywhere with it. So like I said last time, I was playing around with TikTok a little bit, and I grew that pretty good. Now I'm at over 17,000 followers, almost at 18,000. So that's going good. And I've been working with Facebook and LinkedIn a lot. And I've been helping people. A lot of times when I talk to people, I talk to them about their money management, and their money management's like their things that most people don't really realize when it comes with money management, because a lot of people don't really know how to manage their money very well.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that because really, that's something we should be taught in school.
Yes,
You
that
need to
should be
have,
taught. That should be taught in school, and it's not. It's not taught in school much at all. I know when I went to school way back in the day, we didn't really learn much about finances or anything. I didn't take no economics class. It wasn't the economics class that we had. People didn't have to take it. It was just a class that people could take if they wanted to. And so I didn't take it. I excelled more into the math classes, because I love numbers, and I love money. When I was growing up, a lot of people. This is the thing with money, though, is that a lot of people when they're growing up, a lot of people when they're 14, 15, or 16, they go out and get a job. You know, I was not able to get a job when I was 14 or 15 or 16, because when I was a kid, I used to have seizures. So my money management came from my allowance that my dad gave me, and I would take that money. He started off at $10 a week, and then he went to, I think, $20 a week, or maybe it was per month. I don't remember. It was so long ago. I'm just gonna say $20 a month, because $80 a month, or $20 a week, because $80 a month really isn't enough to live on your own, obviously. But for $20 for a kid is a lot of money
Mhm.
and stuff. But a lot of kids, what they would do is they would take that $20 and they would go to the store and go buy candy or buy a really cool toy, and just get rid of that money really quick. I didn't. I took my money and I saved it. I put it in my little plastic safe I had at the house, which was obviously for kids and stuff. And I saved my money and saved my money and saved my money. And when I was very young, back in early high school, I used to go to this youth program to get out of the house. And it was funny because people would want 50 cents for a soda or 75 cents for a candy bar, because there was a vending machine there. And I would borrow them the money, but I would write on this little piece of paper that that Eric owes me 50 cents, or blah 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 owes me $1.50. And it was on a construction paper, and I folded it up and put it in my wallet. And I had that on me wherever I went. Whenever someone would borrow money from me, I'd write it down on a piece of paper, and then they didn't need to pay interest. I wasn't a bank. They just had to pay me back. And if they asked me for 50 cents more, I would look at my little piece of paper and say, I can't borrow you 50 cents because you still owe me 50 cents from last time. So I would say no until they paid me back, and then I would borrow their money again, And I think that's where a lot of my money skills came from, when I did stuff like that. And it was funny because when I cleaned up my apartment, when I moved from my first apartment into my second one, I found the wallet. I was like in my 20s, and I opened it up, and I just laughed, completely laughed, because there was 50 cents on there, there was 15 cents on there. The largest amount that was on there was $2. That was the largest amount that was on there. And it was just funny. I wish I would have kept it, but I threw it all away. But I think that's where a lot of my money management came from. And then I used to have a piggy bank when I was a kid that I made in Cub Scouts, and I used to put all my change in there. And I was the one that would wait until it was completely full before I did something with that change, versus my stepbrother. He wouldn't. He would rank, like, get it all out, to buy a little a candy bar, or not a candy bar, Tootsie Roll for like 2 cents or whatever it was back in the day and stuff.
So
That's good.
would you agree that having an allowance helped you?
Yes, having an allowance did help me, because I was not able to get a job. And I think, and I know with my parents, with my dad, when I lived at his house, I would not get the allowance if I did not do housework.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were earning your allowance.
Yeah, I was earning my allowance. So if I didn't do the housework, then I wouldn't get the allowance. But mowing the lawn, I'd get more money. That wasn't considered. That was a choice for us to mow the lawn. If we wanted to mow half of it, we'd only get half the amount. If we wanted to mow the whole thing, we'd get the whole amount. And the allowance, if we didn't do the chores, we wouldn't get the allowance. And that taught me a little bit about housework and stuff at a young age, because this day and age, I don't have kids, but I could see it being harder for kids to do housework now because of a little device that everyone has called a cell phone.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Something interesting I read is about the Rockefellers. Okay. And the story was, those kids, they got an allowance, but they had to save 10%. They had to donate 10% to charity, and they had to account for every dime they spent in a book, a ledger. So it taught them about saving, it taught them about charity, and they saw how they spent their money. And, well, that was a waste of this and waste of that. But I thought that was a really interesting way to teach your kids about money.
Oh yeah. And I totally agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
It's actually really scary though, because I do keep every cent that I spend, I keep in a ledger. Okay, sometimes I can't balance it right to the 10 cents or 20 cents, but I'm not going to really be bothered by that. But at the end of the year, I remember 5 years ago, and boy, did I ever change my ways. I look and I'm going, oh my God, take out, eat, and all that, because I put it all under dining out, anything I don't make at home. And it came up to something ridiculous, like, I don't know, $3,500. I told my son that. He goes, you think that's bad? I take my girlfriend out every week, and it costs us about $100 a week. At the end of the year, you figure what that comes out to. Mom, you're not spending that much. But the year after that, it went down to $500. But if you don't take that time and precaution to see what you're spending on, you won't see it. Like, people go, oh yeah, no, I don't spend that much. Although they go to McDonald's here, there, or there. Yeah, it adds up. Those $10, $2, the coffee adds up.
Well, you think about it. You think about these people on the way to work, they get a Starbucks, what, $5, $7, right? Then they eat lunch out. It's $10 plus $2 or $3 for $5 for a tip. You look at that in a week's time, in a month's time, in a year's time, that is a huge amount of money. You could make coffee at home probably cheaper than you can get at Starbucks. It may not be, the whatever they call them, but anyway, you could take your lunch a lot cheaper.
So I have a question for you though, that I'm really curious about, Aaron. On those, the ledger that you had about people owed you money, were there any outstanding debts when you looked at the end of it?
Outstanding debts for them or for me?
For your 50 cents, like that they owed you.
Well,
your 15 cents, how many paid you back and how many didn't, or did they all pay you back?
No, they didn't all pay me back. I'm thinking right. if their name was not crossed off on the piece of paper, I'm thinking they didn't pay me back. I don't
You should have charged interest. It would be worth a lot of money today.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but normally when they paid me back, I would cross it off with like a marker or whatever I had in the area and stuff,
Yeah.
you know. So no, they probably didn't pay me back. I probably had like $5 on there, whatever. Like I said, the highest one was $2 that was not crossed off, and I don't remember who it was.
I love that.
So, Aaron, what if for people that have kids, what would your advice be to them to help their kids learn about money?
Well, at least to bring it up with them, to talk to them about what they do with the money. The only down, like, it depends on the parent, you know. No offense to my parents or anything, but they really, not really many people in my family are very good with money. You know, I know my mom, well, before she died, she used to work at the bar. She worked at a couple bars actually, but then she would go drinking with my sisters and stuff at the house because she wanted to fit in, you know. Um, so it depends on if the parent's good with money, they should teach the kids about the money. Another thing that I brought up with I'm pretty sure it was Lori a couple weeks ago is that with this day and age, with the digital day and age, people are not going to be carrying cash on them. A lot less cash at least, because I know when I used to work retail, when I started working retail back in 2005, we had a lot more cash that we had to distribute back then versus when I left the job in 2019, we had a lot less cash. I seen the difference. We had so much less cash that we didn't need someone to count the money in the office anymore because so much less cash is being used. A lot of people are swiping their cards. That's a good thing because that's where the digital world is going and stuff. But you also need to know on how to pay your credit card off. A lot of people do not pay their credit card off. And I know when I first got my first credit card, I told my dad because I was excited. I'm like, Daddy, I got a credit card. He, he wanted to strangle me. He does not like credit cards at all. He wanted to strangle me left and right. I'm like, well, I want it. So I took it, you know, and I bought stuff. I bought stuff I didn't need. You know, I wasn't that organized with it. And I got the credit card bill in the mail. The first one I ever got, I looked at it and I'm like, ooh, wow, $450, man. That's kind of steep, you know, but okay, whatever. You know, back then I back then I bought more than what I do now and stuff. But I looked at it and it told me that I only had to pay $35. And I'm like, I looked at it, I'm like, why do I only need to pay $35 when I spent a lot more than $35? You know, I had no clue. No schools taught me, my parents didn't tell me, my friends, no one, you know. So I called the bank. I'm like, why do I need to only pay $35? I called the 1-800 number on the bill. And I asked them, why do I only need to pay $35 when the total amount's 450? And they said, well, that's only the minimal payment. I'm like, but what about the other? If I only pay the minimal payment, what happens to the other amount? Well, you're going to get charged interest on it. I'm like, I don't want to pay interest. I don't want to pay interest on it. So I paid off my whole credit card that right then and there, and never had any interest charged on my credit card, except for if we have car issues, we have a credit card for our car, you know, that we normally pay off within 3 or 4 months. We do a 3 or 4 month payment normally with our car maintenance. But other than that, the regular card I have, I pay off every single month. I used to pay it off every single month, and now I pay it off every 2 weeks. And a lot of times I pay more than what I owe. And when I get my credit card bill in the mail, most of the time it's a negative amount, and that's good.
It's interesting you bring that up because years ago I wrote a book, an ebook on getting out of debt. And when was doing the research, I've discovered, for an example, I can't remember it exactly, but basically, you spend $2,000 on a credit card, let's say, and you pay the minimum balance for that credit card. It takes you over 20 years to pay it off, and you pay back $8,000.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to pay back credit cards, and when my credit card Chase, like even though Chase is a huge company now, when I started with Chase, it didn't have as much as it does now on the bills. Now it's getting to the point where I don't think I'm getting my monthly bills in the mail anymore because I had to go paperless. I think 2 months ago, they made me go paperless like 2 months ago, and which I'm totally fine with. But when I would get the bill in the mail, I looked at it and it would say if you only pay the minimal amount, it would take this many months or this many years or whatever the time frame is. And I remember when I paid for my schooling 10, 15, 2008, so 12 years ago, when I paid for a course I took, it was a $1,200 course I paid with my credit card, and I looked at it, and if I only paid the minimal amount, it would take, it was over 10 years to pay it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I paid more than the minimal amount, and plus it was interest free for the year, so I paid it off within the year. That's another benefit about applying for credit cards is that most of the time you get interest free for so long, and if you pay it back within that so long, you don't need to pay the interest. And a lot of people think you have to pay interest even if you pay it off. A lot of people tell me you have to pay interest on it all the time. I'm like, no, you don't. If you pay it off every single month, you don't need to pay interest. But a lot of people's mindset is that they have to pay interest no matter what. And
Well, yeah. If you're the type of person that can follow through with things, you can get a credit card that's got rewards tied to it, whether it be points, miles, whatever. And it's what we do. Everything we do during the month, we use a credit card for. When the balance comes due, we pay the balance. So there's no interest. And we
And
get
some of them are-
1.5. It's like, I think it's 1.5. So if we spend 3,000, we get what, 4,500 points or whatever it is.
And some of them are cash value too towards your payment towards your credit card, which is nice. I have one of those. So when you hit a certain point, you can actually take those points and put them back towards your credit card.
Right.
Which is a nice option to have as well.
If you've got the discipline not to just keep adding and adding and adding and pay the minimum balance.
you got to be disciplined like a hardcore. I know with me, I pay pretty much everything with my credit card. The only things I do not pay with my credit card is my rent and my electric bill because of being a smaller electric company. It's not like a humongous company that's cool taking credit cards. Our electric company won't take credit cards because it's a small area. So other than that, my phone bill, all my bills, I put on my credit card. Even if I have a plan of how to pay it off, like let's just say I go to the doctor and I know I'm going to have a $500 bill in the mail for whatever doctor's appointment or whatever, I will pay that with my credit card. So then I can take the amount that's in my account and pay for it off right away. Instead of using my debit card, I never use my debit card unless I need cash back for whatever reason. And who uses cash this day and age?
Well, we only use our debit card at the bank to draw money out. We never use it anywhere else. No stores, nothing. Because, we've got protection at the bank. If something happens, we have Chase. So if something happens, it's covered. But if you go out to Walmart and charge it and somebody gets it's a whole different story. So that's what we do. That's just, personal choice for us.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. I know that your business is growing, and I'd like to know a little bit more about that because I know when we were talking about, 6 months ago, this was what you really were pursuing, and you've now been in it. So I just want to know a little bit more about your business and what do you offer to people out there, Aaron?
Yeah, what I have is an educational company for entrepreneurs and business owners, because a lot of when they go into business, whatever business that they go into, they're focused on their business, and they need to be focused on their business or else it won't get anywhere. But a lot of times when you're just focused on your business and you're not focused on the marketing or how to get more people into your business could die very, very quickly, because if you don't get any business into your business, then you will be pretty much out of business. If you if you sell something, whatever you sell, if you don't sell anything, you'll be out of business. And when it comes with business owners, in general, most businesses, they just go out of business. I think the main thing was like within 2 years, so much percent of businesses go out of business. Within 5 years, even more percent goes out of business. And now with the COVID spiel, businesses are going out of business left and right, unless they're adapting to the change. So I have a program to educate people on how to grow their business, use like other people to grow their business as well. Because if the person likes what you do, they will tell other people about what you do. You know, just think about it like this. Like you buy, let's just say, Samsung phone. I don't know what Samsung phone I have. I don't know. I'm like an S10, I think it is. And I love my, let's just say I love my S10, which I do. But I go out there and tell someone who has a S7 or whatever the heck is one of the oldest phones. I'm like, dude, my phone can do this, 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 and this. And guess what? It has a teleprompter on there too. So I don't need to remember every single thing I do for the video. And they're like, really? Oh my God, that is so cool. And whether they buy the phone, whether they get the app, the business, that whatever business I'm telling them about grows because of communication. And when it comes with this traditional education, another thing I don't like about traditional education is that student debt. I hate student debt. That is one of my biggest pet peeves, because a lot of students stay in debt for a very, 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 very long time, until they're in their 30s or 40s, unless they have a pair of parents that pays for the whole thing, which obviously I did not, you know. But if you do have parents who pay for your whole education, 100% my opinion is that you're not learning to manage your own money, because they are paying for your education, and then they're paying for your tuition, your room and board or whatever it's called, and they're paying for other things and stuff. I've seen it all the time in the beginning of a school year, where when I was working retail, where a mom and the son or daughter was buying all these little things for the dorm. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, that's nice, but where is this money management coming for the student? You know, you're not giving the student any kind of money management, your daughter, I should say, any kind of money management at all.
So it becomes almost like a privilege. So they're not understanding that that privilege is not always there. When you get out on your own, you have to create your own privileges, so to speak. You got to work for them. They're not handed to you.
Yes, nothing. I can't say nothing's handed to you, but a lot of stuff is not handed to you when you go out to the real world. And that's why a lot of times when students get done with school, they live with a friend or whoever they decide to live with, and they realize that they can't afford everything. You know, they don't realize all of the bills that are piled up with them. So then they move back with their parents, or move back with some sort of relative, you know, or they might go into a group of like 5 other people who you can't trust. A lot of friends, even though you think you can trust them, a lot of times you can't trust them, you know, because you don't know what you don't know about people. That's just my personal opinion with living with a bunch of classmates and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and I'm going to be up front. I'm guilty, but let me just tell you, my son, what was so funny, he went to school, he calls me up, Dad, there's no toilet paper, there's no Kleenex, there's no soap, there's no this, there's no that. And I said, yeah, I know. You had that at home. You're not gonna have that out there. That's something you're gonna have to do. You know. Now we did pay for his college, and I have no regret over that. And when he graduated, some of his friends had $150,000 school loans. He said, Dad, I'm so grateful I don't have any student loans. You know, and I said, well, I was glad to be able to do that for you. You know, but he did. He didn't want to live in a dorm. He wanted to live in an apartment. You know, so well, if you can work and pay for your apartment, I'm okay with it. You know, and it's funny, little side note. He comes by with some friends. He goes, well, Dad, you know, look, I'm gonna move this apartment, but I said, you need a co-signer, right? He goes, yeah. I said, okay, let me tell you something. I want a co-sign for this, but if you don't make the payment, you'd be better off robbing a 7-Eleven than coming to me and telling me you didn't make the payment. And so they let his friends go, oh, your dad, he's funny. That's funny. Rob said it. He goes, he wasn't kidding. He said, no matter what, I'll make this payment no matter what I have to do. But anyway, but he did. He worked through school, kept his grades up, so good for him. But I understand what you're saying. But I'm glad we were able to do that for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a bit privileged too. My parents paid for my university. They took a Universitas out, one of those things that it's like an insurance, and then the interest ends up paying your child's education, which is great. But I kind of went to university. Sorry, mom and dad, but it's true. Under what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to go to dad's university. I wanted to get into commerce. I didn't get in by one point. Another university was accepting me, but no, I had to go to dad's. So I had to choose something new that I wanted to do. My first love was journalism, and I would have gotten into that as well. I was accepted, but no. So what I did, I went through university, did my 3 years, got a BA with art history because I was going to become a lawyer, decided not to. And then I took all sorts of other courses with it. And I came out and went back to college, paid on my own for my college diploma, honors journalism. So regardless of what they did, I still ended up paying for the education that I wanted to do.
Well,
but I did that, right? So I'm very grateful for what they did, but I managed to pay for my education for what I wanted to do. So not that I'm doing it too. We don't always do what we go to school for.
But it's like Aaron said, I couldn't afford to go to college. I would have had to pay, and I just couldn't do it. So, it was important to me to be able to have my kids go to college.
Yeah.
I didn't get to, but I want you to.
Yeah.
So it was important to me for that reason,
So getting back, Aaron, and so who would be your target market for your clients?
Pretty much any kind of small business or entrepreneur or anyone that wants to do that for a living and stuff. Because I know a lot of people, let's just say they get out of high school and they say they want to be a business owner. They say they want to be an entrepreneur. So what do? They look online, they go to YouTube, and then suddenly what do they see? They see this person with all this stuff, oh my gosh, this person is getting out of this amazing car, this amazing house. Look at this beautiful house that they have. So what do? They join the company and then realize that entrepreneur that they're going to follow is not very good. There's too many BS people out there, like way too many. A lot of people, I know it's kind of slimming down now. I know I see a lot of stuff online about people not faking it and say, oh, I'm getting, and then they get out in a really crappy area, for a different way of getting people into their business. But a lot of people, they're just get educated with the wrong people. I know I've been through with a couple people, and there was one person that said we would be making so much in 100 days, blah, 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 and it really didn't go anywhere, and then I could have paid more money to go with a retreat down to wherever they went to, in an amazing house to get these amazing pictures. But really, they're just kind of faking it, it's kind of the way I look at it is it's kind of false advertising, but all businesses do it. You look at a commercial, which really not many people watch commercials anymore. That's more time. Not many people watch the TV. They're more than likely looking at their phones and stuff this day and age. The TV is kind of like background noise now. But just with commercials in general, like a Burger King commercial, that is a completely fake burger that they're showing. The cars that car owners sell, it's not a fake car, but they make it as shiny as they possibly can. They make it as good as they possibly can. Clear roads because it's the only professional driver that's driving down the road and whatnot. That's how advertising is, though. A lot of fake stuff.
Well,
I was in advertising. Sorry, I was just gonna say. Go ahead, Roy.
A lot of those people you see online, they've got that big house they rented for this photo shoot. They've got this car they rented for this photo shoot. They got this airplane they rented or took a picture in front of, or the helicopter, or the vacation, the islands, and it's all fake. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Well, like
not
I was
real.
saying, I was in advertising. It was exactly that. I remember when they were, they even will spray things onto the food to make it look
Mhm.
better. It's kind of crazy. So I want to basically say that in essence, what you're telling us too is by helping these people and guiding them, you're saving them money, right? Because I mean, Roy and I are both guilty of investing in these, particularly in the 2007 when all of this,
Mhm.
affiliate marketing, all that came out. It's a little better now than it was then. There's a better name for affiliate marketing, but back then they take your $1,000 and then all of a sudden you go back online and your whole back end's gone and everything else. It's like they packed up and went with your money. So it's to guide them to make them more secure. And I can guarantee you will save a lot of people by what you're doing, helping them and explaining the different segments of this is how you started, this is good, this is not good. Um, for them to invest in you is worthwhile. And I will say that absolutely, because I wish I had somebody like you to tell me, 13 years ago,
Really,
don't go there. Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So Aaron, how can people reach out to you?
Well, I have a website that they can go to, my own personal website. It is thewolfofcashflow.com, and they can go there and click the little button, and they can answer a series of questions about themselves. And after they answer the questions, they put down their information, and then I'll get a message about what the answers were and what kind of person they actually are. Yeah, because I've had plenty of landing pages, plenty of them, and I get a lot of people. I've called some people and asked them, "Hey, what do you want to do with your life?" And they're like, "Well, I don't have anything." I'm like, "Okay, well, where do you want to go?" "Well, I don't want to blah 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 blah." I'm like, "Okay, fine, I'm done." I had too many people that I was wasting my time and wasting their time of talking to them. I don't want to call someone up and waste their time because they seen it on however they got in and stuff. So with the questions, it's giving me their answers to tell me, hey, do you have money to invest into yourself? Do you have what is the best time to talk to you? And stuff, and it's just a series of questions that they can answer and stuff, and then I can go from there. And then, like, one of the questions is, when's the best time to reach? Because a lot of people might not be available in the morning. They're only available in the evening. Or some people, I used to work 1 to 10, so I wasn't available in the evening, but I was available in the morning. Everyone's different. So it tells me if they're available in the morning, afternoon, or evening. That's one of the questions. What time are you available to talk? We can do a Zoom if they don't want to do a phone call, but I've learned that a lot of times phone calls are a little bit more easier to get to, because a lot of people don't really know much about Zooms. Everyone knows how to work a phone,
Yeah.
like not everyone. I can't say everyone because 100% is kind of impossible for a lot of things, but most people know how to work a cell phone, whether it's the smartphone that most people have now, or if you still got the flip phone, then I guess you still got the flip phone, but it's still a phone, and then I'll just call them up and then we'll go from there. And also calling them up is a little bit easier as well, because if I'm not by the computer and they say, hey, I'm available in the afternoon, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll give them a call right then and there if I'm not at an appointment or a Zoom or whatnot. So I'll just call them up and talk to them normally for like a half hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That makes sense.
where they want to go with life. A lot of people they want to get somewhere, but they need a little bit of push.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, like I said, I think that you can save a lot of people a lot of money, a lot of trouble, a lot of headaches. Particularly the new ones, the new entrepreneurs. Yeah, they're buying a dream, and don't spend it before you know what you're buying. You need to be advised.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Totally agree.
Well, thank you so much for coming back on. I really enjoyed seeing you again, talking to you again, although we do keep in touch in between, but it's really fun to see this business of yours growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
seeing other people's businesses grow as well and helping other people grow. 'Cause
Yeah, that's,
like I
that's
always say,
great.
you're either growing or you're dying. There ain't no third direction.
Absolutely.
All
All
right,
right.
Aaron. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time out and sharing with us. Okay.
Not a problem.
All
Thanks,
right.
Aaron.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.